What is up, everyone? GernaderJake here, and today I'm going to give you my 8 tips for mastering Fortnite Battle Royale so you can get out there and start winning your games. Throughout this video, we will be moving from beginner tips to more advanced tips, so no matter your level of skill, you will find useful information for improving your gameplay. So, without further ado, let's get this thing started. Tip number 1. Be aggressive and seek fights. This is the most important thing you can do to improve your skills in Fortnite, and it also happens to be the thing most beginners avoid. The more fights you get into, the more practice you get. The more practice you get, the more lethal you become. It's a very simple formula. In a game where surviving is the goal, being aggressive may seem counterintuitive. However, the key to survival is kicking ass in your fights. So stop being afraid of dying. When you hear shots fired, go towards them. When you see an enemy moving nearby, engage with them. When you see a bush, don't hide in it. Be aggressive, seek fights, improve your gunplay. Tip number 2. Master the health, shield, and healing system. Health is the green bar at the very bottom middle of the screen. Players start the match with max health of 100. Shield is the blue bar directly above the health bar, and players start at 0. The only way to acquire shield is to loot shield potions or slurp juices throughout the map. When you take damage from an enemy, shields are expended before health is affected. However, shields do not protect against fall damage or storm damage, so pay close attention to the health bar. Now, the healing and shield gaining system. Players do not gain back health over time. Instead, you must find one of 4 items that can help you gain back your health or acquire shield, and understanding how all 4 work is extremely useful. First, there are bandages. Each bandage will gift 15 health, but will not take you above 75 health. In order to get above 75 health, you will need a medkit or a slurp juice. A medkit will take you back to 100 health no matter what. A slurp juice is rather unique in that it gives both shield and health. When a slurp juice is used, players will gain 1 health and 1 shield per second for 25 consecutive seconds. Last but not least are shield potions, which grant 50 shield but do not affect health. Take the time to understand and master the system so you can heal efficiently and effectively. Tip number 3. Know the weapons and keep a variety on hand. In Fortnite Battle Royale, weapon tiers are clearly divided using 5 colors. From weakest to strongest, those colors are gray, green, blue, purple, and orange/gold. Repeat that to yourself. Get that in your head, it's important. Now, throughout the game, focus on seeking higher tiered weapons. Each enemy you kill and each chest you loot will represent an opportunity to swap a weaker gun for a stronger gun. Use the color system to identify what's weaker and what's stronger. Now that you've got that figured out, focus on keeping a variety of weapons on hand. In other words, you want short range and long range weapons as well as some explosives on hand at all times so you are geared up for any kind of fight you may find yourself in. Tip number 4. Keep your weapon slotting consistent. This tip can be insanely helpful, especially when a fight breaks out when you're not ready. You want to keep the order of your inventory consistent so you can pull out the item you want without hesitation. For example, I manage my inventory from left to right, with closest range weapons to the left, longer range weapons to the right, and healing items being last. This way I can pull out whatever I may need in a fight without looking down in my inventory first. Tip number 5. Aim for low points on the map for faster landing. After jumping from the battle bus, your glider will deploy based on your distance from the ground. In other words, make sure you aim your player over rivers, paths, or flat areas on the map rather than above mountains, trees, or buildings. If you aim for low points, your glider will open later and you will land sooner. Landing sooner means you can find loot before your opponents, and finding loot before your opponents is often the difference between life and death. Tip number 6. Build, build, build. This is one of the most important tips I will give you today. Build! And no, I don't even mean forts. I mean simple walls and ramps mid-combat for offensive and defensive purposes. Always be ready to begin building. Always be ready. Place walls when you're getting shot at for defense. Build ramps during close to mid-range fights, not only for defense and blocking shots, but for the offensive height advantage you now have over your opponent. Being ready to place walls and ramps at all times is the key to winning the majority of your fights. Make sure to collect plenty of materials while roaming around so you're ready to build at all times. Tip number 7. Stay still and crouch while shooting. Constant strafing and movement mid-gunfight is actually a bad idea in Fortnite, unless you're using a shotgun. But for the purpose of this discussion, let's talk about assault rifles and burst rifles. Moving while shooting makes your bullets inaccurate and will often lead you to losing gunfights. Instead, focus on staying still and crouching when firing at your enemy. When crouched and still, your bullets are much more accurate. Now, I'm not telling you to sit in an open field with no cover completely still during your gunfight. Instead, I'm suggesting that when able, you crouch still and shoot. For example, if you spot a player who doesn't see you, stay still and crouch before engaging. If you're in the middle of a gunfight, use the building tip I just gave you. Use your building for cover, and every time you peek to take a shot, make sure you're moving as little as possible. Tip number 8. Focus on how safe zone location will influence player movement. The only thing that helps you predict how and where players will be moving is the safe zone. Understanding how the safe zone will influence player movement is key for anticipating potential fights. Use this safe zone as an example. Here, the entire south portion of the map is being covered by the storm. As a result, many enemy players will be running from the south to the north, meeting at the bottom of the safe zone. This is where a lot of fights will be happening over the next couple of minutes. This also means that anybody at the top of the safe zone won't have to worry about people pushing from behind. There will be very little enemy movement in these regions. Use this concept to understand which area of the map will have a lot of enemy movement, a lot of fights, as well as which areas will remain safe and quiet. Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed this IGN video on the 8 tips for success in Fortnite Battle Royale. My name once again is GernaderJake, and all gameplay you saw in this video was mine. I'm a full-time streamer and I've been playing a ton of Fortnite lately, so please come check me out over at twitch.tv/GernaderJake and say in the chat, IGN sent me. I'll see you in there, and I'll see you on the battlefield kicking my butt with all the tips you just learned. Peace out.